Hi YouTube, I'm Matt and I react to comedians or comedy sketches that I've never seen before. My Lolometer down here in the corner is going to count every time that I laugh out loud during this video. So I'm just going to quickly address the elephant in the room, which is of course my missing tooth, which fell out recently. It was a crown that I've had for several years. I'm going to get it replaced at some point, but these things are expensive. So anyway, back to the plot. This time around I'm watching something that I have seen before, someone that I watched pretty much for the first time that I ever remember, not that long ago on my channel, and it is Mick Miller. I didn't really know anything about Mick Miller when people asked me to react to him. I couldn't remember him from the sort of back in the day, but he was brilliant, really good, and more to the point, the number of views that I've received on my Mick Miller reaction has rocketed over the last few months, and he's now my highest viewed comedy reaction. Here's more from Mick Miller.
It takes about 4 seconds. Look at that. Look at that, 4 seconds. You know, this was stolen by that fella from Little Britain. Where do you think he modelled it from? Oh no?
Here's one guy that did make it. He's one of my very favourite comedians. Big welcome, please, for Mick Miller.
Am I a double act? First, I'm not the fella from Little Britain in a wheelchair, by the way. Just, I was born bald, so I think I've done quite well. The shampoo, it's called Shoulders. Well, after the comedians, I started actually in a circus, and I didn't do an act, but they kept me on for 7 years. I was the only one that could get the tent in the bag. I was a human cannonball, £120 a week, plus a bit of mileage. Think back, though, to circuses. They were fabulous. They had real unusual acts, didn't they, years ago? You know, the fat tattooed lady. Now they're everywhere. But if there's any young girls out there, you know, and thinking of having a tattoo, when you're 20, you might have a little tiny robin on your back. When you're 65, that'll look like an ostrich. And I've got to an age now, I had to go and have you know, the checkup. You get to an age when you have to have a checkup, the men will know, you know, it's embarrassing. You know, when you hear the slap of a rubber glove. Will you bend over that table, sir? And like, how'd you make a conversation? He's there with a rubber glove and a finger, and I said, are you on Twitter? He said, no, but I poked you on Facebook a couple of times. Did a bit of shopping today. I went in Aldi. Anyone been in Aldi? It's brilliant, isn't it? Oh, I got me all my veg. I got all the veg, and I got eggs, bacon, me meat, and a chainsaw, and a very nice riding hat. So this fella's 96, and he walked into a chemist, and he had a little pad and a pen. The chemist said, can I help you, sir? He said, yes. He said, do you sell Raljex? He said, we do. He said, thank you. He said, do you sell corn plasters? He said, we do have corn plasters, yes, thank you. He said, do you sell them surgical stockings for the older lady? He said, we do carry them, yes, thank you. He said, so why are you writing all this down? He said, well, my girlfriend, she's 98, and we're getting married in November, and we thought we'd put your shop down for the wedding list. You know that last night of the proms, when are they going to mean it? That Jeremy Kyle, have you watched that Jeremy Kyle? Oh, I want to brick the television. Oh. You know, instead of getting them a DNA test, which is expensive, why don't they just buy them some teeth? There's an impression. This is a pale man with a beard. I was on the prom last night and I was watching the seagulls. You know, can you imagine if one of them seagulls on the prom here saw a dead fish? He'd go like, what's that? Where's the batter? There's no chips. And there's some great shows in Blackpool. I mean, that Derek Acora, he's on North Pier. Derek Acora, you know, have you seen him? Oh, he's incredible, he is. I looked on his Facebook. You want to see some of his friends? Hitler, Elvis, Attila the Hun. Got thrown out of Legends. That's on the good show on Central Pier. I walked in, and just walking in, this woman said, excuse me, this £10, it's not real. I said, it's not the real Shirley Bassey. I don't like flying. No. Got my charity band on. Different charities, different colours. This blue one, that's to save the rubber tree, that one. You know, your big toe is just a tool to find furniture at 5 o'clock in the morning. Now, Christmas, we had a lot of problems with, the snow we had, and it was dreadful, and the bins weren't emptied, so we ended up with a rat problem. So I've gone straight into B&Q, and I like B&Q, because they use older people who've got a bit of brain. So I'm walking in B&Q, big orange sign, stainless steel sinks. I thought, well, I know that. Why put it there? So there was a nice woman. I said, I want some rat poison. She said, oh, it's round here by the sweets. So she says, give me a sachet of rat poison. And I said, excuse me, love, my glasses. I said, what do we do with it? She said, well, you sprinkle it round its hole. I said, well, if I could get that close, I'd hit it with a brick. Well, I keep rescue dogs, and I've got one, bless him, Charlie. He's 8 months old, Charlie, and he's got an ingrowing tail, Charlie, bless him. And he cost me a fortune, I get him x-rayed every day, see if he's happy. But as a kid, my dad used to take me in Liverpool to the second-hand pet shop. And we used to go in there, and, you get half a snake. Pigeons, they make me laugh. Pigeons, years and years ago, had a wonderful song. Pigeons used to go... Then they started to live in big towns, with industry and smoke and fog, and you listen to them now. But, so I was doing a gig in Las Vegas at the Luxor Hotel, which is a pyramid. Couldn't believe it, I'm staying in a hotel which is a pyramid. Well, I'm booking in. I said, oh, what a great place. And the receptionist said it wasn't last night, sir. She said, a guy lost $8 million in the casino. Suicidal. And he went up to his room, and he jumped out of the window and slid down to the car park. Because it's a pyramid, see? But I was... said about the flying, so I'm at Manchester Airport, and the first thing is getting the trolley in it. And why is it you always get the one with the wobbly wheel? Your check-in's over there. This trolley won't do lefts. You're all round the thing, but... And you see the fella that works there, he walks straight through the door, he's got 200, he's going straight in a line, anyway. So I've gone up to the woman, you know, the one sat behind the desk with the Thunderbird hat on. Give her the tickets, passports, and she looked at me and she went, "Fuck you." I said, "Say again?" She said, "The fuck you." It's all right then. So I'm stood in the far queue. She said 4-hour delay. I said, "Why is that then?" She said, "Well, the pilot heard a funny noise in the engine, and it'll take us 4 hours to find a pilot that can't hear it." And it was that Ryanair I was on. Oh, there's only one thing I like about Ryanair. You know, in the summer, any kids under 2 have to go in the overhead locker. But they ask you stupid questions. Has anyone you don't know put anything in your case? Don't know anyone I don't know. Has anyone you don't know given you anything? I said, I had a week at Pontins. 79, was it? Well, and you know what they took off me? Me tweezers. 2 inches long. And my washing bag. I said, "Sorry, sir, sorry, dangerous weapon. Got to put them in that bucket with them machetes and scissors." And I'm trying to imagine the damage you could do on a plane with these tweezers. I think obviously you could have run at the pilot, couldn't you? You know, "Take me to Cuba." "Stay back." "Take me to Cuba, or I'll rip the ears out your nose." Then we're the duty free. Why is it, Brits? We love that duty free. Cheaper in Boots. Who needs a Toblerone as big as a cricket bat? Next time you're on a flight, you know when the person next to you is fast asleep and they start leaning in your space? Put your life jacket on and get your oxygen mask and wake him up. Just go like that. Oh. So I arrived in Spain, I learned a bit of Spanish. One Spanish word I'll never forget is choo-choo. Remember that if you go to Spain? Choo-choo. I come out this bar, 5 o'clock in the morning, and I felt something stuck in my back, and this voice said, "If you don't give me your wallet, I'm going to choo-choo." That sounded like Max Wall, that, didn't it? Choo-choo. I'm going to choo-choo. So I went in this Spanish restaurant, I ordered octopus, and the waiter said it takes 4 hours. I said, 4 hours, why is that? He said, well, we cook them when they're alive and they keep turning the gas off. So Camilla Parker Bowles went into Burger King. She said, "Can I have 2 Whoppers?" He says, "Yes, you're a very beautiful woman, and one day you'll be the Queen." Fancied something to eat last night, and I thought, I'll phone that place, Domino's Pizza, you know, delivered to your house. Well, I phoned this Domino's Pizza. I've got this prat on the phone. He said, "Hello, Domino's Pizza, Carl speaking, how can I help you?" I said, "Well, have a guess, Carl." Said, "Have you got a radiator cap for a 1979 Cortina?" So just for you, fellow on the radio doing the noddy programme for kids. He hates kids and he's an alcoholic. Don't forget it's on the radio. And I think it sounds something like this. "Morning, kids." "Noddy show." You all listen to your radios. What will Noddy do today? He wakes up, doesn't he? Goes in the bathroom for a wash. Can you hear little Noddy filling the sink with water? Oh, little Noddy's got a big sink, hasn't he? He said, oh shit, I'll have a bath. Then he goes downstairs for his breakfast. There's a milkman. Pours himself a cup of tea. Poured himself some toast. And a runny egg. Then he goes in his car with his friend Gordon. Oh, Gordon. He's going on his holidays to Scotty Botland. And he met a Scottish Red Indian. Hawkeye the new. And he met a Scouse Red Indian. Hang on a mo. He went in a cake shop in Glasgow. He said, is that a custard or meringue? He said, no, you're not wrong, it's a custard. And he's driving through Scotland, he saw Thomas the Tank Engine. And Thomas went into this tunnel with a little puff. And Thomas came out with a tender behind. And his car stopped and Noddy said, oh, my cars won't go at all. Phone the AA man. He said, what's wrong, eh? Hey! Found there was no water in the radiator. No. No water in the wishy whoppers. No water in the airbag. He said, what's wrong with my car, eh, man? He said, crap in the carburetor. He said, how often do I have to do that? Enjoy the show. Thanks for listening. Good night. God bless. Thank you.
A few tears coming out there. That brilliant. Oh, pretty much all I really need to say. Absolutely love that. What a true legend. And this one is clearly a lot more recent video with a mention of Twitter than the one that I last watched. And he's still going and he's still throwing out some belters. I guess the whole Noddy thing is clearly a bit of a set piece that he always does, I imagine. And it's still brilliant. And I've seen the Noddy bit on the last reaction I did of Mick Miller. And that's still hilarious. And I still laughed at probably all the same jokes because it's just so damn funny. Absolute true legend. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it, drop a comment below. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. And I'll see you next time.